There's a lot of promotion of women in government and everything, and little or none with men. And then if they happen to show you a man is a beta male, is weak.
I heard you make a statement earlier this morning about a college education wasn't necessary. You didn't need a degree.
Right.
Why would you make a statement like that?
Because it's true. You know, I was reflecting on what's happening in my country. And what seemed to be going unnoticed now is the attack on men. The attack on boys and men. And there's a lot of attention about women and that men want to play in women's sports, but there's no discussion about women wanting to play in men's sport. He is weak. But the attack on men is evil, folks. It's evil going against good. Men, even in their beta states, father state, mama state, represent good. They've just been turned away from the father by their mothers and our grandmothers, whatever woman raised them, right? They have been turned away from the father, so they're in the wilderness of their imagination and emotions. They have been forced to turn toward the woman as little kids, and they have been turned away from the light so they can't see. And as a result of that, they'll see these women in the churches, these weak beta males in the churches, talking about being equal and all that crap. No such thing, by the way. Because you're the man that's telling the congregation that black people are not equal, you're not viewed as equal. He's not viewing them as equal, sitting there in the congregation. Because if he was, he wouldn't be lying to them about them not being seen as equal. You know, that doesn't even make sense to me. And this attack, they have already destroyed the black man for the most part. And there are some black guys starting to wake up, though, to be honest with you. As a result of Donald Trump and hearing the truth about forgiveness, forgiving mama, so you can overcome her spirit. And it's not her spirit, but it's the spirit of evil that made a home in her, that Eve nature, which is the nature of the devil. But men are under attack, and as a result of it, everything in this country is being watered down. It's being watered down. Women can say whatever they want about men, but men can't say. They could if they wanted to, if they weren't afraid. They can't say whatever they want to say about women. They can't even speak the truth about the nature of the woman. I see it all the time. And when they do show men in movies or commercials and things, the man acting stupid and the woman pretending to have common sense. It's a pretense. And while all this is going on, pushing the woman so-called forward was really pushing her backward. Everything is getting bad. Everything is changing for the worse. All the wrong people in the right places to make sure that my country never returns again. It's a spiritual battle. And man, the attack upon you, upon men, boys and men, it's done by conservative women, Christian women, secular women, media women, government women, and regular women at home. They hate the light that you represent. That's why they try to, the women take your children and take you through court, try to take your children away from you. They hate your children and they hate you. They hate God. They literally hate God. And when a man sits upon a woman in a church or he allows her to take over the home and not follow him, all you and the kids are going to get is hell. Nothing but hell. Women don't have love. They don't have directions. They are lost in their imagination and emotions. And all the boys and men who have been turned away from the Father, they too are lost in the imagination, thoughts, and emotions. All thoughts and emotions are evil. And yet the women push thoughts and emotions like 90 going north. And because the men have been turned and recreated in the woman's image and made her his God, they are pushing the same thing. There's no fight in the man to overcome it, for the most part. A few, but not most. I want you to think about this. How do you just give up on yourself? I don't know what tomorrow will bring, but I have never, so far, ever, not bragging, but it's just reality, I've never given up on me. Fighting for my life. Fighting to know the truth. To be free and independent. To stand alone. And I know it's that way because God planned it for it to be that way for me. But my parents and grandparents were like that. That's all I saw for the most part growing up. And I remember when I first moved to L.A., and I saw some black homeless people downtown L.A. It was a few, not a lot. It was mostly black then, not everybody. And I used to wonder, what happened to these people that they gave up on their own life and became drug addicts and living on the streets and living near homeless shelters and getting free stuff? What happened? And what got them stuck in it where they will not try? Now I'm starting to realize why. But what kind of person are you that you won't fight for your own life in the right way? Why? I don't get it. Do I understand it? And you got to come back to the natural order of things. You're living an unnatural life. Anyone that has anger and is living in their imagination is living an unnatural life. You need a return to the natural life, and that only comes from the Father. It doesn't come. You ain't going to get it from the woman. It's not in her. And for women to live a natural life, they got to return to the Father too. Every time the man listens to the woman, or the woman listens to the woman, they will suffer. They suffer. I don't care if they're a preacher, prophetess, whatever they call themselves, or a so-called woman that went to session school and got a bunch of degrees. It's just a piece of paper. It doesn't make things right. If anything, it makes things worse. That's why I suggest to men, do what you want, that you should never marry an educated woman. Educated women does not make for good wives and mothers at all. They're not going to obey their husband. Their egos are too big. They're on an ego trip. Like they already on an ego trip because of the nature of Satan that made a home in them. But it's double when they get educated. And yet the men are foolish and they go and marry and they catch hell. Pure hell. I will encourage you to become your own man, your own woman. Don't be afraid to stand alone. Everyone that is a crowd thinker is lost and lonely and afraid and have doubts and worries and a mess. But those men and women who are willing to stand alone, they are free. And they still intertwine with people. They're in the world but not of it. They still go out and whatever, but they're just not identified with the group anymore. And not even, they're not intellectually trying, they're not trying not to identify. It's just that their ID changes when they return to the Father, when they're not afraid to stand alone, when they face the fears. Remember when men were building automobiles, and they were amazing. They made a lot of noise, you know, and you can hear them coming down the road. When they built buildings, and the buildings were strong, and as time went by, you wanted to hold on to those buildings because they were so masculine and built strong and built with real material, and it was everything. It was just amazing. Now that the men have given up manhood and allowed the woman to come in, it's all nothing now. It's just a bunch of junk that they call beautiful. You ride down the road and all the cars look alike. The Mercedes, the BMWs, the Audis, everything looked like a Chevrolet or a Ford or something. You know what I mean? Not that those cars are bad cars, but they just all look alike. They got the same colors, built the same. You don't recognize the distinct difference in the cars anymore. Even though they try to put the little logo on there, little sticker thing, but that fades away too. And then you ride down the road, it's so quiet with the car, you get ran over. You don't hear it coming because the women can't handle the noise. That's too noisy. Take that motor out and put in a soft motor, noiseless motor. And the people did it. And they put these women in these industries, and they design these girly cars and buildings. The buildings today are not even worth looking at. They just have no meaning. I want to show you an example what happens when men lead the way and what the world looked like when men knew how to lead. There was a time, men, in the good old days when boys were boys and men knew how to lead. And when the challenges come, they didn't fold with the challenges. What the? And go join some group and gossip and hate and judge. They took the challenge and went through it and overcame it, dealt with it. But here's what the world looked like when men knew how to deal. This is from Art of Purpose on Twitter. Watch this. Amazing. We have lost that as a result of men being weak and the women taking over. Allowing the women to take over. Women just can't take over on their own. They don't have it in them. They don't have the strength. It's not given to them. It's in the man, so the man give up his strength. Look how beautiful those buildings were before women got into so-called designing. Trying to pretend the woman is equal. Women from the older days knew that that would be a mess. They didn't like that. They didn't accept it. Oh, give a darn if he does. Come on, Paul. I won't accept it. The buildings were strong and built and thought through and not just something thrown up. Cardboard boxes thrown up and they call it a building. If no one else does it, you do it. Go within and know thyself. And men, you were created to be the light of the world and the salt of the earth. When the light goes out and the salt disappears, there's nothing but darkness upon the earth. Nothing but darkness. Everybody's lost and afraid and lonely, afraid that they won't be able to take care of themselves and worried about tomorrow, which doesn't exist, yesterday, which doesn't exist, unable to live in the present, just unable to. Caught up with the darkness of thoughts, all lies, all the time. And when they're caught up, they sing Christian hymns. They start singing, oh, praise the Lord, and still have fear. Or they go read the word and still have fear. They go down to the front of the church and confess, and the preacher lays his hand on their shoulders or head, and they all cry, except the preacher. They all cry, and they still have fear. They still have fear. You don't have to have fear in life. God did not give you the spirit of fear. That is not from God. It's not from you. It's an identity of the devil. And you think it's yours, and you're afraid to face it because you think it's you. And a lot of people love their fear. They love that hell. They love identifying with the misery. They love it. So it's up to you. You can either go to those churches and get your little song and dance and scripture reading, or you can go within and be free. You got to face the hell that's happening inside of you, because the same hell happening inside of you is happening to everybody else, and no one can help you. If they're not pointing you back to yourself, they are your enemy. Did you know that? Anyone that's not pointing you back to yourself, because it's all inside of you, each individual, then that person or those people are your enemies. Once you wake up, you will not be able to go back to sleep. You're going to see that you never had a free will. A lot of Bible thumpers and non-Bible thumpers alike think that they have a free will. You don't have a free will. Never have, never will, never can't, never ain't. No free will. And if you did, free yourself from fear. Free yourself from the imagination. Free yourself from believing thoughts when they're all lies all the time. Free yourself from bondage. Free yourself out of the hell that you're in. If you had a free will, free yourself never to have another so-called negative thought. You're not in control of anything. Nothing. And another thing that you're being deceived by, and you can know this for yourself. Don't believe me just because I'm saying it. I said it. You can see for yourself when you get to know yourself. Jesus is not God. They lied to you when they told you that. Jesus is not God. And it's just knowledge which is holding you back from being free. Another thing, give up all of your ideas about God. All of your ideas about God are wrong. All your ideas about Jesus are wrong. Give up everything you think you want and just live a life from within, and you can be free. Live your life. And when you fellowship, don't fellowship to follow the man. Fellowship to learn and edify one another. If you stop with the imagination, you stop worshiping the thoughts. You stop worshiping anyone. There's only one God. And the heart must change from anger to love, and then love, which is the nature of God, will destroy the vices and everything else. You're neither saint nor sinner. You're none of those things. But you believe in lies. Just like the blacks believe the lies about racism and white supremacism. All those are lies, just plain old lies. It's the same thing that you are believing about God and about Jesus. It's just ideas that Satan is using against you inside of your imagination and outside of your imagination in others. And also, they have told you that you can read the Word. In the beginning, the Word was God. God was the Word. And you put the Word in you. That's dumb. You read the Word and it enter into the ideas and the thoughts of it enter into your imagination. That's it. The intellect. And it just becomes intellectual for you and nothing changes. And last but not least, stop listening to these women so-called leaders. There's nothing worse than a so-called woman executive, or a woman head of a church, or a woman the head of the family. It's just a mess. It's not the order, folks. If you want to be free, you got to shed all of your ideas and your fear, your anger. When your anger disappears, the fear will disappear. When the fear disappears, the anger will disappear. And these men are allowing these women to take over the churches, and it's just going to hell in a handbag. It has nothing to do with God. And the only thing the woman did was learn the Bible just like the man did and just quoting it. That's all. That doesn't mean God has her doing it. And we all know that women leading is not a good idea. Look how messed up things become. Look at the world today as the women are taking over. Ain't nothing good coming from it. Zero. Not one good thing is coming from it. Kyle, welcome to the show. You're on the air.
Good morning.
Good morning, Kyle.
I heard you make a statement earlier this morning about a college education wasn't necessary and you didn't need a degree.
Right.
Why would you make a statement like that?
Because it's true.
What do you have to prove that that's true?
That if you get a job and work and manage your life, your money, you could do very well in America if you had control. Whereas the college people are going into debt and all their learners, they're not even learning read, write, and arithmetic anymore. They're learning insanity. They're turning these kids against America. They're learning critical race mess. And they come out with a big piece of paper that means nothing except for ego gratification. but they're heavily in debt. Where if you get a job or learn a trade, you're going to do well because you always, as long as you can work with your hands, you're going to have food on your table.
I don't understand how in the world you can even make a statement like that.
Why don't you understand that?
Just none of it's true.
Why don't you understand that?
None of it's true.
What part of working with your hands, getting a job or learning a trade is not true?
That may be true. That part may be true.
But you just said none of it was true.
But you're talking about people coming out of college
hold on a
with a degree
minute.
that means nothing.
It doesn't.
You talk about people coming out of college with a degree that means nothing, and they don't get a job, et cetera, et cetera. You're out of your mind.
A lot of college grads don't get the kind of job that they went to college for. And they come out dumber. They come out, a lot of them don't. No, a lot of them don't even get jobs, buddy.
They get a job.
No, they don't.
They get a job.
Some do, but a lot don't.
I don't know any of them. I don't know any of them that's in the soup line.
What?
I don't know any of those with college degrees that are in the soup line.
That doesn't mean, just because you don't know it doesn't mean it's not true.
Well, but the same thing I'm trying to tell you.
But
that coming out of your mouth is not true.
What part of what I said that's not true?
You didn't get a college degree, Jesse.
Right.
But you got a grift. And you're doing okay.
No, because I learned how to work. I learned how to.
You know what?
I learned how to work. I was taught to work with my hands, how to put, how to save, invest in land. I was taught that, and get a trade. We were taught that, and never.
And what is your trade?
And the black wasn't into.
What is your trade?
I didn't go to get a trade, but I'm telling you, that's what I was taught.
What is your trade?
My trade is working with my hands.
But you working with your hands.
And now you notice that.
You're a radio talk show host. How's that working with your hands?
Let me tell you this. And now they got this piece of dumb paper, and now they want us to pay for their college fake education. They want us to pay for it. Instead
you
of
are
them,
lying, Jesse. You are lying.
They're not trying to get the taxpayers to pay for their college
thing.
You tell
more lies than your great white hope.
Kyle,
you tell more lies than your great white hope.
Okay, I may be.
I don't.
But let me ask you this:
told the truth, him or the other?
Let me ask.
Ask me. Go ahead.
You don't hear them saying they want us, the taxpayers, to pay for their college education?
No, I haven't heard one of them say that.
So you haven't heard about college debt?
I haven't heard one of them say that.
Oh, okay.
I have two grandsons that graduated from Howard University.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man. That's double trouble.
Anybody to pay for their education.
Well, you're not paying attention to them. Pay attention to the Democratic Party. That's what they're trying to do.
I pay attention to the Democratic Party, and they haven't said that.
Wow.
You're just lying.
Oh, okay.
You're lying.
Okay, I might be.
And I don't know why these people let you get away with this on the radio.
I might be. But
you're lying.
Okay.
You are lying.
Okay. What am I lying about? Are you black?
But a liar.
Are you black?
You're one of the
Are you black?
horrible people that they talk about. What?
Are you black?
Yes, I'm black.
Have you seen Uncle Tom
too? 85 years.
I've
been black for 85 years.
Have you? I'm sorry to hear that, buddy. But let me ask: Have you seen?
Don't feel sorry for me. I've had a good 85 years.
Have you seen Uncle Tom 2?
No, and I haven't seen Uncle Tom 1 either, and I'm not going to watch either one of them.
And why not?
Because they're not true. It's propaganda.
If you haven't seen it,
they were put together by. They were put. I'm just like you. Like you don't read anything, I'm not going to watch that.
If you haven't seen it, how you know it's not true?
I just saw a bit you just put up on your show there.
But if you haven't seen it, how do you know it's not true?
You're trying to make me. You're trying to make me understand something that's not true.
I'm not trying to make you understand anything. I'm asking. If you haven't seen it, Kyle, how you know it's not true?
Well, it starts off by saying the thing in Tulsa didn't happen and it got rebuilt, and that was a lie.
How do you know that's a lie?
Because it didn't happen.
How do you know that?
They didn't rebuild Tulsa after they killed those people.
How do you know that?
That's a lie.
But they just showed you in the film. You don't believe it?
That's the only time I've ever heard it reported was in that piece of material you had there on Uncle Tom.
So because you haven't heard it and didn't know about it, you think it's not true?
Well, there are a lot of things that I haven't heard about and I don't know about.
But because you didn't hear about that and you didn't know they had the blacks rebuilt.
And I don't believe it.
You don't believe it?
I don't believe it, and it's not true, Sister Lee. You know, you get away with all kinds of crap on your show. All kinds.
Do you believe that white people, white supremacy?
Of course there's white supremacy.
And why do you believe the whites are superior to you?
I didn't say the whites were superior to me.
Well, why do you call them supremacy
then?
That's not
what white supremacy means.
It does mean that. It means that they rule over you.
That is not what white supremacy means.
So then why do you call them that?
That they want to rule over me.
No, you're saying that they do.
Means that they want to rule over me.
But you're saying that
want to rule over me.
Kyle,
what?
You're saying that they do.
No, I didn't. I told you what white supremacy means.
You said that
it means that they want to rule over me.
And so are you?
That's what the ideology of a white supremacist is.
How do you know that?
That's what's been taught.
Who taught you that?
And that's what white supremacy says.
Who taught you that?
That they want to be supreme over everyone else.
They said that?
Yes.
When did they say that?
What?
When did they say that?
All the time.
Did you learn that in college?
No, I didn't learn that in college. They weren't teaching that in college when I went to school. I told you I'm 85 years old. I went to school 50 years ago.
Oh, and they didn't teach you that then?
No, they didn't teach me that then.
So why are they teaching it now?
Because white supremacy just became a big thing now.
Why?
Because the whites are afraid that the blacks are going to outnumber them soon, and they're going to be defunct.
And they weren't afraid of that back. They were not afraid of that back then.
So the white Republican Party is trying to exterminate the black person. So, you don't have to worry, though, because you're not black. You don't have to worry.
I'm black on the outside, but white on the inside.
No, you're not black. You're not black anywhere. You're not black anywhere.
Can you see me? I'm black in the Ace of Spades, man.
I've seen you. I have seen you. I'm looking at you right now. You're up on my TV screen.
Let me ask you this. Do you believe that white people have the right to run their own country?
This country? What do you mean their own country? Who gave them
You didn't answer
country?
the question. Do you believe that white people have the right to run their own country?
First of all, this is not their own country.
You didn't answer the question yet.
Therefore, no, I'm not going to answer because that's a lie.
Why
that's
not?
A lie.
It wasn't a lie. It was a
country.
question, man. What the?
This is not their country.
Do you believe?
And if
Kyle,
you believe that, then I got some high-rise apartments down out on the street I want to sell you.
Kyle, do you believe that white people have the right to run their own country?
No.
Why not?
Because it's not their country.
Why you say that?
Because it wasn't built by them and it wasn't put together by them.
What color people founded America?
The Indians.
No, they didn't.
Yes, they did.
What color people founded and created the greatest country on this side of heaven?
No, I'm not stepping into that hole. I'm
what
smarter
hole?
than that.
You don't want to admit who did it?
The one you're trying to dig for me. One you're trying to dig for me.
What am I trying to get from you? What am I trying to get?
That is not true either.
What am I trying to get from you?
That white people discovered and built the United States.
If it wasn't the whites, who was it? If it wasn't the whites,
it was the Indians.
You went to a black university.
The whites came in and killed all of them, and took it.
What?
And then brought the blacks over here to build it.
No, not true.
Yes.
Well, aren't you grateful? Let's say that's not true, but let's say it's true. Aren't you grateful that they didn't leave you in Africa?
I was never in Africa.
What?
I was never in Africa.
So you are not an African American?
Yeah, I'm an African American.
But how are you an African American if you were never in Africa?
Because I was born in the United States.
And so if you were born in the United States, why would you call yourself an African American?
because that's what's been applied to me of recent years.
So somebody else call you that, and you start calling yourself?
No, someone else did.
Why are you taking on just because someone?
Just like they used to call me nigger and still call me nigger.
You can't use that word,
black.
man. What the?
They called me colored, and now they call me African American.
And why do you call yourself African?
I don't call myself African.
You just said you were African American.
I am African American.
Did you say you were 80 years old?
I'm 85.
What the? If the white people killed the Indians, why are the Indians still around?
There was no more than one or two Indians. There was multiple Indians.
Amazing.
Like for the same reason that black people are still around. They killed a bunch of us too, but we're still around.
But black people, who are killing the blacks more, blacks or whites?
Well, you will say blacks.
No, who would you say?
I would say whites.
And why would you say whites?
But you will say black.
Why would you say whites when it's not true?
I don't have any statistics to back it up. And
so why would you say it then? Why would you say
because
it?
that's what I feel.
Are you a Christian?
That's what I feel. And every time, what am I? What?
Are you a Christian?
What does that have to do with why, the price of tea in this China?
Are you a Christian?
Yeah, I'm a Christian.
You love white people?
Now, why are you asking me that question?
Because you say you're a Christian. Do you love white people?
That has nothing to do with it. Yeah, I love all people.
Do you love white people?
Even the ones that hate me. Yes, I love white people.
Okay,
even the
good.
ones that hate me, I love them.
The white people hate you?
And there are a lot of them that do.
How you know?
You ever heard of Tommy Tuberville?
Who?
Tommy Tuberville.
No, I ain't heard no Tommy Tuberville.
Yeah, well, he hates black people.
Oh, yeah.
You heard of Ron DeSantis? You heard of Ron DeSantis, I know.
But listen, let me ask you this. Will you watch Uncle Tom to get a better understanding?
No, I don't need to watch Uncle Tom to get a better understanding.
Okay.
No, I changed my mind. I'm going to watch Uncle Tom and Uncle Tom 2, and I'm going to call you back.
All right, that's cool, man. Thank you.
All right.
I appreciate your
Bye-bye.
call, Kyle.
Stop telling lies. Stop telling lies.
Tell me
Jesse.
lies, tell me sweet
Stop
little
telling lies, Jesse. Stop telling lies.
Tell me lies. Oh, no,
person knows more lies than
don't
you
patronize. Tell me lies. Thank you, Kyle. Let me know who you watch Uncle Tom and tell me what you think, all right?
I'm going to try.
Uncle Tom, too. I didn't hang up on him. But thank you, Kyle.